Good morning guys, and welcome back to another video. I probably should stop playing with these because it'll ruin my audio. Anyway, I hope you guys are all having a good day. Today I thought I would do a review on my coilovers that are currently installed in my 2008 Ford FG Falcon. It's been about 3 months since I installed myself some XYZ coilovers. So I thought what I would do today is I would do a review on them because I know they're one of the most popular brands for coilovers in the FG. I know a lot of you guys are wondering about what the ride quality is like compared to, like, let's say lowered springs or anything like that. So anyway, let's get stuck straight into it. So I thought for starters what I'd do is look at the cons of the coilovers, and the biggest thing for me is the fact that it's not a true coilover. In the rear you have an adjustable shock which you can actually adjust your stiffness and everything through that. However, it's not actually a true coilover. The coil sits on a boot, so you can adjust the ride height of course. Wherever you have your lower control arm, then you have the boot that sits on top of that where your normal spring would go, and then you have a shortened spring on top, so you adjust the ride height. You obviously lower the car by adjusting the collars on the bottom of the boot, and obviously going down would make your car seem lower, going up would make your car seem higher. But anyway, that's pretty much the only con. I mean, I haven't exactly driven around with many FGs with different setups of coilovers. Like, I've been in a car with 10 coilovers, I've been in a car with a couple of other different types of coilovers. However, I've never actually driven them. So this pretty much would just be me talking about XYZ in general. I'm not really going to be comparing them to any other brands. It's just going to be XYZ as they are. So anyway, starting off with installation. Installation of these coilovers was so straightforward. It was as simple as taking out the old suspension, putting the new stuff in. There was no fabrication needed. I didn't have to cut any parts. I didn't have to stretch any parts over anything else. I didn't have to bend or do anything. The coilovers fit up perfectly without any hassles. The only thing we did have an issue with was at the front. We couldn't actually get the bottom of the original strut to actually fit over the top of the lower control arm, because the plate actually looks like that and it sits over your lower control arm like that, but we could actually get the lower control arm out enough to get this over the top. We ended up having to get a jack handle, and we had to pry down the original suspension components and try and maneuver it over the top. That was a little bit of an issue in itself. These coilovers went in without any hassle, so it was completely fine. It took us about 3 hours all up. We swapped them all around. It was super straightforward. All the instructions are included in the box, as well as all the tools to set them all up. So I set up the coils as straight as they came out the box, and to be honest, the car was pretty even. However, it definitely did need some fine tuning, which was all done through my friend Gene Rhodes. As it all came out the box, I did have to tighten a few things, so just make sure you do that when you're installing them. So I did have to tighten up the collars to adjust the rebound. I did have to adjust the collars on the front and rear struts just to make sure that it wasn't going to change. I actually had an issue where it did come loose because I didn't tighten it up enough. However, I got that all sorted within the next week. One of the biggest things I think for many people that own the FG, and the reason that they want coilovers, is the fact that they want to go low. The FG isn't exactly a race car in itself. You know, you're not going to be taking this to a track event and trying to get best lap times. There's a lot of other different cars you could possibly get for a track car that doesn't include something that is as heavy or that is more track able than this car. There's a lot of different cars, so I don't really see many of these cars being tracked. So most people that get these coilovers are pretty much going to be using it for the looks of them. And these coilovers are probably one of the best coilovers in terms of how far you can lower it. So I know that there's a lot of other coilovers, like let's say Teen, or I'm not quite sure what the Shocksworks do, but I don't actually believe they go anywhere near as low as what the XYZ coilovers do. And that was the biggest thing about this car as well, because I did want to have it at a certain ride height, and I don't believe that Teen or any other coilover brands like Petters or SCA or anything like that, I don't believe they actually go as low as what these ones do. Now also, before I jump in the car and take you guys for a little bit of a drive around, I thought I would talk about the price. The price of these coilovers roughly averages around $1,400 to $1,600 depending on who you buy them through. Now in terms of that price compared to other coilovers for the FG Falcon or any Falcon, these coilovers are beautifully priced. They're probably one of the lowest priced coilovers compared to the other ones. Now I believe there's some other ones out there that are a little bit stiffer, have better ride quality. I understand all that, but for an entry-level coilover that has all the adjustments that you want for $1,400 compared to some other brands, these right here are actually a really decently priced quality product for the FG, and hence why they are so popular. So anyway guys, we're going to jump in the car right now and take it around the streets, and we're going to talk about the ride quality. And also, one of the things I forgot to mention out there, just in terms of feature wise on the XYZ coilovers, I have a little list up here of everything that it can do. So they come with these little tools that you can actually use to put in the top of your coilovers, and you turn them. They actually have 30-way stiffness adjustments, so you can adjust them to be super soft, which is or you can adjust them to be super hard, which honestly is actually pretty hard. So they claim to have the maximum drop in ride height without compromising ride quality. it will compromise ride quality if you do go way too low, trust me. They also have 5-way adjustability, so they have everything from spring adjustability to the body, which is your ride height adjustment. You also have bump, rebound, and camber. They claim to have precision cornering and maximum grip for superior handling and comfort. Now, as I said before, I haven't exactly tried any other coilovers in the FG apart from riding in the passenger seat, so I'm really not one to compare different coilover brands. However, I'm just going to tell you what I think about the XYZs in general. Now, as I said, not really comparing to any other coilover brands. However, now for the price and what you're exactly getting, what you're expecting is just, I guess, a little bit stiffer than lowered springs, or a little bit stiffer than your average suspension. However, the biggest thing for me was trying to keep it still feeling smooth, because my girlfriend rides in this car all the time, my friends ride in this car all the time. I definitely needed something that was still going to be smooth on the road. And can I say that this right here, I believe I have made the perfect choice for these coilovers. They are absolutely amazing to drive on. One of the biggest things I noticed when coming from the lowered springs towards these coilovers right here was the fact that my lowered springs, they just felt like when I was going over a big bump or I was going over the road, I just felt like I was just going like this and waving, doing everything. I checked my shocks, I checked everything to do with the shocks, but I could just never find a reason as to why the car was just so disgustingly wavy on the roads. But as soon as I put these coilovers in, even without really setting them up as properly as I possibly could have, these coilovers felt absolutely beautiful out of the box. Very quickly, I noticed that when I was going over big divots in the road, instead of like going like that and then bouncing for a couple of seconds later, I was just going straight over the bump and it was going like that and back to its original level. Over small bumps in the road, you know, obviously it's going to feel pretty similar. Luckily enough for me, the coilovers are very just sort of smooth on the road. I guess they could be possibly like a little bit progressive in a way, because over small bumps they definitely seem to suck up a lot of the really small imperfections in the road and you don't really notice them at all. However, when it comes to big divots in the road, like that, I guess, you definitely feel the coilovers just sucking it up and then leaving the car at the level that it started off at, and it's really quite amazing. On the track, I definitely realised that these coilovers are something different. I found that I wasn't having anywhere near as much body roll as I was originally with my standard suspension. And also it was weird because I always chucked my car in the same as what I normally would in corners, but because it was so stiff, the back end was just tail happy the whole time. I've never been able to really chuck my car sideways, nor have I really wanted to ever put my car sideways, but I just feel like with these coilovers, now that the car is so stiff, I feel like it's more rigid on the road, and I feel like if I really wanted to at a controlled track event, that I would definitely be able to make this thing fishtail out. I feel like the coilovers have given me a lot more control over my car. I feel like the steering is a little bit better. I feel like just in general, the car is more planted on the road. So guys, I understand this video is really short, and I hope I really enticed you guys to go get some coilovers over your standard suspension, because trust me, it really makes a difference. If you guys have any questions about the coilovers that I have, or any questions about the setup process, or anything about coilovers in general, I will try and answer them as good as I can. If I don't have the answer, I will definitely ask someone else who knows, and I will get the answer for you as soon as I possibly can. Anyway guys, I hope you really enjoyed the video, and I will see you all later.